Just a Zulu man.
Pablo Escobar's funeral. What happened that day? Let's see what happened during Pablo Escobar's funeral. One of the most brutal drug dealers out there. December 3, 1993. That's a long time ago. I was 12 years when this happened.
December 3rd, 1993, in Medellin, Colombia. It is not just an ordinary man being buried. He is the most powerful drug lord of all time. Some called him Robin Hood, while others, a terrorist and drug lord. That day, the crowd was so large that the Colombian police and army had to maintain order at the funeral. But why were 25,000 people at the funeral of the most wanted?
25,000 people. I just think they were there to witness, to just see if he's really gone, not to pay their respect, because he was brutal.
Criminal in the world? Why so much chaos and sadness? To learn about the day of the funeral of the biggest drug lord, keep watching this video. The horrifying day of Pablo's death.
And the guy was young, he was 44 years old when he was taken out. He was young. And this powerful at 44 years old. Most people are like retired when they start making this kind of money. They're like 60 years.
Don Pablo, after 16 years as a drug kingpin.
Imagine 16 years. Only 16 years, you're already at the top.
His end was near. He was on the run from everyone, from the Colombian American government to the rivals of the cartels, and everyone wanted him. But there was a big problem. No one knew where he was. But the CIA already had Pablo's family under control, and they were waiting for Pablo's fatal mistake. On December 2nd, 1993, Pablo called his son. Pablo knew this was a risk, but perhaps he saw that it was over, and he wanted to hear from his son one last time. This was for the CIA to locate Pablo in Barrio Los Olivos, a neighborhood in Medellin. After an intervention by the...
I think this was when he ran away. Before he ran, he was sentenced to 5 years, and he built his own prison, his own luxury prison, and stayed there. And then he heard the rumors that they were going to transport him to a real prison. His own prison, his own self-built prison, had a pool, had a beach, had a soccer field, and then he ran. And then that's when this is the part where he was running away. He didn't want to be transported to the real prison.
The Colombian Army and American Special Forces, they killed the only bodyguard and Pablo after an exchange of fire. Immediately after that, Viva Colombia was heard on the radio. From the cheering of the army, we just killed Pablo Escobar. Public reaction to the death of the drug lord.
Drug lord Pablo Escobar was killed today, 16 months after his escape from prison.
Soon after...
16 months. Oh, this guy ran, bro. There's a guy from somewhere here in Africa, a dictator. Not a dictator, but like one of those guys who was grooming young boys to be soldiers. To this day, they have never found him. They just hear rumors. They last heard from him in 2011. And to this day, he's still on the wind. There's not even a single rumor. There's just small rumors that are unverified.
After the news spread in
all
the nation,
there
was turmoil in the country. A flashpoint was so great that it awakened people from every corner of the country. The news of his death spread like a plague. News channels couldn't say another word, but Pablo Escobar has been shot dead. The drug lord is breathing no more on the Colombian soil. Radio channels were screaming loud out that Escobar is no more. The crowd's reaction to Escobar's demise was a fusion of sadness and admiration. There was a palpable sense of loss and suffering. The game was changing for the drug dealers, and everyone wanted to take control of the pit.
Yeah, but everyone would. I would too want to take control. But I don't think anyone ever took control, bro. Even El Chapo did not take control from Pablo. He also had his own. I think Guzman was in Mexico, was Mexican cartel, and Pablo was Colombian.
The government took the Pablo family in custody, and suddenly there was a gabble on the Colombian streets. People started to emerge to the death scene. It was no longer what a myriad of people showed up at the death scene. They were no other but followers of Escobar and came to hail their Robin Hood.
Oh, so the bad guy had followers, bro. So they came to pay respect to the Robin Hood. Remember, this guy was also feeding the people while he was killing the police at the same time.
He was a ruthless cocaine baron to government, but a hero to the people of the hillside of Medellin. The Colombians will remember him as the man who gave millions to the poor in Colombia.
They didn't even want to hear him plea, bro. He tried to make his plea case. I don't remember how much he wanted to give to the government and the public, and they just leave him alone. They just didn't want to hear it. It was the US that was pushing the Colombian government to act this way. And by the way, right next to Colombia, it's Venezuela. Just a small ocean, then it's Venezuela. I think it's like a 3,000 kilos apart. And they now just invaded Venezuela.
The funeral day. A large number of people arrived at the funeral, and Pablo's family and friends were also there to pay their last tribute. Some were saddened by the loss of their Robin Hood. Others were relieved that Escobar could no longer carry out his criminal activities. The mourners wore t-shirts with pictures of Pablo Escobar, and some carried signs like, "Pablo, you will always be with us," and "Long live Pablo Escobar." Reports say that the crowd was so big that the drug lord's family couldn't open the car doors that took them to the funeral, and they had to turn around and miss the funeral. The drug lord family mourned him in silence and fear. The
I
death
wonder
of
what
Pablo
happened to his money, bro. I hear a story about the 500 billion that he was hiding, but the authorities only recovered 18 million. And his son was in an interview talking about that money, what happened to that money, but those stories are not verified. The one story that people think is true is that the US took the money.
Escobar had a major effect on his family and friends, who were not only grieving his loss, but also feeling the effects of the media spotlight that surrounded the news of his death. After he died, his body was taken to a local morgue in Medellin, Colombia. After paying their respects to the fallen drug lord, Escobar's family fled the scene as reporters and their enemies surrounded the funeral. The funeral was held at the Jardines Montesacro Cemetery in Medellin 2 days after his death. Thousands mourned that horrifying day, saying their last goodbyes. The authorities tried to maintain order, but they couldn't stop those outraged mourners. After stopping the crowd, they fought back and went to the funeral. But the burial was carried out with such urgency that the priest tried to say some prayers but eventually couldn't perform them due to the push and pressure from the crowd. His family faced many problems: fear of the enemy, pressure from the government, and accusations from the reporters. It was one hell of a day. When the reporters ambushed the family, Escobar's son uttered in anguish, "We are just going through a lot and trying to make our lives normal. For my mother, my sister Manuela, and me, the past 24 hours..."
Yes, this is the son who was on the news. Not the news, I think, I'm not sure if it was on TV, but there's a YouTube version. There's a YouTube video in the interview talking about what happened to his father's money.
Been the most intense hours of our lives. Not only did we have to deal with the terrible pain of losing the family head in such a violent way, but the funeral was even worse. This day changed so much. Some lost their family head, some lost their hero, while others got rid of the most notorious criminal on earth. What do Colombians think of the legend? Pablo Escobar was a controversial and polarizing figure in Colombia. People there have different ideas about it. Some admire Escobar as a Robin Hood-like figure who used his power and wealth to help the underprivileged and oppressed of his community. Some Colombians despise him for being a violent and immoral drug dealer who was involved in criminal activities. Many of the Colombians say that Pablo is a black story for the country, like Hitler for the Germans. Some say Colombian
that's a wild
passports are looked
comparison.
at the airport more than necessary because of the name of the country, and this irritates them. The airport more than necessary. Germans. Some say Colombian passports are looked at the airport more than necessary because of the name of the country, and this irritates them. Since his untimely death in 1993, opinion has been divided over whether he should be remembered as a folk hero or a horror story.
That's more than 30 years. That's 33 years since he passed on, bro. His name still lives.
What do you think? Does Pablo Escobar deserve so much attention even today? Write to us in the comments.
I don't know if he deserved the attention or what, but he really played his part, bro. Pablo was a menace, was a maniac. Like, share, and subscribe, bro. I'm going to look at another Pablo video.